Welcome to day 2 of the IIS Global Insurance Forum's members-only session. We have a very special session in store for you featuring the John S. Bickley Founders Award recipient, Dr. Jerry Rosenbloom. Jerry will sit down with Gallagher Re's Chairman International, James Vickers, for a one-on-one conversation highlighting the prolific impact Jerry's had on the industry. James and Jerry, welcome.
Hello, I'm James Vickers. I'm the chairman of Gallagher Re International, and I'm delighted to be here today with Dr. Jerry Rosenbloom, the recipient of the Founders Award. Dr. Jerry Rosenbloom served for nearly 4 decades as academic director to the Certified Employee Benefits Specialist Program. He's the Frederick H. Ecker Professor Emeritus of Insurance and Risk Management at the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania, and has been a lifelong scholar who's played an outstanding role, not only in the academic world, but also in the world of professional education, where his contributions are unparalleled. Jerry is an internationally recognized authority on pensions and employee benefits, a corporate director and consultant, a legendary teacher, a leader in professional education, and an award-winning author of many articles in academic journals and books, which have been translated into multiple languages. In recognition of his many contributions to insurance thought, practice, and education, we are proud to honor Dr. Jerry Rosenbloom with the Founders Award. Jerry, congratulations on this well-deserved award.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I've had a long history with the IIS, and it's been added a great deal to what I've been able to do over the years. So I really appreciate the award.
Well, let's try and tease a little bit more out of you now. In your devoted decades of 50 years to advancing knowledge in our industry, in that time you've served as an inspiration and role model and assisted literally thousands of professionals to enhance their job performance. With the current talent shortages now escalating, what can we do as an industry to improve the talent pipeline?
It's an incredibly important question. I was looking at something recently that indicated just in the United States, and I'm sure this applies elsewhere in the world. In the United States, it said that there'll be 500,000 employees that will retire soon. They use the word soon. And so I think it's critically important to keep the talent pool as large as possible. And in my view, it really starts at the top, and that's that insurance company executives and leaders in the industry really have to keep stressing the importance of risk management and insurance. I remember that someone, I was trying to find out exactly who it was. It might have been Peter Drucker, but anyhow, mentioned that Western civilization has to have a technique like insurance to function. And I even think it applies wider than that, because everywhere there's risk. And unlike certain industries where the product or service can go away, that's not true where you have to handle all the risk. So I think that that's where it has to start. And I think there are some long-term ways to improve the talent pool as well as other ones that can come a little bit quicker. I think one of the areas that would be important would be a lot of the college programs that offer insurance courses to expose people to what the industry can do and why it's important and why it could be a great job. I'm an example of this. I was a scientific major in high school, and I went to undergraduate school, took some business courses, and took insurance courses. And the rest is history for sort of my career. It was an exciting area. And so schools that have programs like that, I was fortunate enough to teach at Temple University and also the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania. And where at Temple was a required course. And so all the students were exposed to it, and they have now hundreds of people that have majored in it and gone to work for industry, great internships created. And so, but I think so, and there are a lot of schools around the country that now teach insurance and risk management. And I think that's a great source of getting students. And I would hope that through various kinds of efforts and so forth, this could be expanded so that it's at other institutions of higher learning or even in high school or wherever to increase that pool. I also think that going along with that is the increase all over of hopefully financial literacy, so that people and consumers and everybody can learn about the role insurance can play. I think there's some others that can happen maybe a little more quickly, and that's adapting to a changing workforce, reskilling current employees perhaps, so that turnover may be reduced and showing them career paths. Bring back more training programs. I know when I first started in the field, many companies had wonderful training programs, and I think that's decreased somewhat. More current flexibility in the way, given the pandemic and everything, with some remote learning or more flexibility and, in the nature of jobs, perhaps some remote and so forth. So I think there are a number of things also that could be recruiting from other industries. I know from when we have had a lot of executive education programs, insurance and other areas, that people think their industry is unique and there are special things about it. And perhaps we can only recruit from people that have insurance backgrounds. I think, and I know some companies are doing this very strongly, try to recruit from other industries that, particularly like for technology and so forth. Because at the end of each one of these seminars, whether it be insurance or something else, what the reaction of the great majority of the people that go through these programs is, we can learn from other industries and apply it to our own. These are just some top of the head sort of thoughts about what I think would help increase the pool in the United States and worldwide.
Well, I think there's wise words from somebody of your eminence and background, but perhaps we can sort of tease something out a little bit more sort of personal. I mean, there's one area, I mean, your legacy in creating an employee benefits body of knowledge and shaping the certified employee benefits specialist program is everlasting. In fact, you've been called the Pied Piper of the program for your ability to attract students and for your contribution to the program's trajectory to become the standard of excellence in human resources. How did you actually do it? And what's the one lesson you can share?
Okay, yes. It's very interesting. What really started the thinking in this area, I had a background with a lot of professional education programs in the past. And this really started in the United States, but so many of these issues apply around the world. In the US, it started with the Employee Retirement Income Security Act, which came in Labor Day 1974 in the United States. And all of a sudden, it totally revamped field of employee benefits, particularly healthcare, pensions, and anything dealing with employee benefits, which are such a major part of so many people's compensation, usually 30% or more, or sometimes a lot higher than that. And now all of a sudden, there were vesting standards, there were funding standards, there were hundreds of rules, and which was followed by about 17 or 18 additional legislation along the way in the area. So there was a huge need to how do we educate human resource professionals and everything to try to deal with this. And so a lot of lessons were learned, trying to put a curriculum together. What this made different about this, and it really leads to what you asked, is what sort of came out of this that I could talk about, was that unlike some other programs, like particularly insurance programs for life insurance or property casualty, you could pretty well assess need. When it comes to the employee benefits program, trying to design a program for that, it could involve hundreds of different types of organizations, government. The biggest source was insurance in the beginning, but it can involve government people, it could involve individuals, just about all kinds of possible groups. So trying to adapt for a program like that, it developed, the way it developed was that the International Foundation of Employee Benefit Plans saw the need and looked at a lot of different ways, and they eventually came to the Wharton School. And since I had a background in professional programs, I became the director of it, and Wharton had some programs with chartered life underwriter, chartered property casualty insurer, and that kind of thing. So we designed a program, and since we didn't have only one industry, we talked to many industries, leaders, and practitioners, which I think is always critical as well, to come up with the curriculum. And essentially, we went through dozens of versions of it till we finally came up with we thought could apply across the board. So to answer the second part of your question, the lesson learned was trying to immediately identify your target audience and not assume you know what they need. And going, yes, because this is too common to say, oh, well, I've been around insurance, I know all this. And that wasn't the case, to be honest. We had to talk to them. And this, I would say, would be the key thing that I learned, that talk to them every step of the way, determine what you need now, and what we promised to do in the program with all the changes in legislation was that we would always keep them up to date. And so that's the major lesson I learned, which not only applied to this program, but to just about everything I ever did afterwards, whether it be writing books, whether it be working on boards of directors, executive education programs, or anything else. I learned that, you really don't know it all yourself, and you really have to talk to the people, experts in the field.
Well, I think, again, very sensible. It's too easy to jump to conclusions that we think we know the right answers. But I'm also impressed by your comment. You gave an undertaking to keep the curriculum constantly up to date. I mean, that's a huge task in itself, with the amount of legislation comes out the whole time and changes.
Yeah, that you're exactly right. We made that a commitment and it was, I think, incredibly important to do it because, I always hated the term fringe benefits when you're talking about 30%, 40% or whatever of compensation. One thing also, as we're talking, another thought just popped into my mind. When we were talking about, and I'll just make it really, when we were talking about increasing the pool for the insurance industry, maybe you could do it by the more or less the benefit plans you offer. Someone I know just took a job with a company, for example, that said they would pay 100% of their health care costs, which is an enormous benefit. And I don't know whether many could do that. But they also had a lot of other things like actually encourage employees to take a break every now and then and giving them a little fund for vacation. Since there are so many variables in benefit plans, it might be a way to also, could complement other things that they might use. So anyhow, but it's just
that sounds like a very good employer. Maybe we'll have to have an offline discussion as to who's kind enough to give benefits.
Well, that would be I mean, this one, and it's kind of funny. They gave a 1,200 allowance if you had a pet. I couldn't believe that one, but you never know. One never knows.
You just move on to another area, which is the protection gap that exists even in markets with mature pension programs where longevity is outpacing retirement. With all your background and experience, what recommendations or thoughts have you got about how we can address this protection gap?
Well, that is another very key question that it really applies all over the world. And it varies by country, but it's there with the aging population and the creation of gaps. And I recently saw a study that was done that's 49% of the people in the United States that were surveyed fear that they will not have enough income in retirement, or they'll run out of income at retirement. And so this is not an easy solution, but there are ways I think that can help. In the United States, for example, you could delay your retirement under Social Security to perhaps something like age 70. And it is one of the few things that remain that provide cost of living benefits, increases, so that that would help with inflation, as we're seeing now in many countries around the world. You can also talk about such things as working longer. You could also see about in your employment signing up for the maximums that employers match, or put in the maximums you can through your retirement plans. And I think all this involves recognizing this possible issue and trying to plan as early as possible. There are other methods that you can consider. For example, many automatic enrollment in plans, retirement and other types of savings plans that employers may have, so that you're automatically enrolled and participate, and hopefully you can do that at the highest level. Other suggestions, and one I think that may be a really good one, is more and more plans are talking about buying deferred fixed annuities, which would, give you the basis for guaranteeing for a lifetime income. and putting your funds toward that. And I mean, others talk about really moving to a lower cost city or other place where you might want to go that's less expensive, and it can vary greatly. And I mean, others say consider who you're leaving funds for and so forth, that maybe you have to make an adjustment there. So these are some of the ways. I mean, another that I don't know whether it'll ever come back would be that some employers or others trying to get talent may go back to a defined benefit type pension plan where the risk is on the employer and not on the employee to try to provide future benefits. But it's an area that's going to be constantly in the news, and these are just a few of the, well, I guess one other comes to mind also, that perhaps a lot of people worry about the extreme costs that happen in retirement healthcare costs, and that maybe long-term care insurance, hopefully considered at an early age, could help provide some protection there that may give you funds to do something else. So, but it's a big area. It's a big area, and I'm sure there'll be other approaches that that come up in the future.
I think I've got time to ask you one more other big area question, which is about claims processing. You've got a huge experience and expertise in this area, and given the technological advancements that are now available, how do you think innovation can improve the claims process for better outcomes for everybody and fairer outcomes?
That again is a critical area. That's what insurance is really all about, and that's the purpose people and businesses and everybody buys it, to try to improve, protect them rather, and if a loss. And I've seen studies that said that if you don't retain the clients that you have, insurance companies and things like this, could be 6 or 7 times as expensive to acquire somebody new. So I think it's absolutely critical that it be looked at. And I think claims processing has come a long way with automation. And I think there is a long way to go on using automation. For example, I think the idea of the long run goal maybe is to try to make it as simple and transparent as you possibly can, maybe to somehow come close to or rival online banking. If that could ever be achieved, that I think would have an enormous impact on lots of aspects of it. Other things in the automation field, talking about a lot dealing with artificial intelligence and the algorithms that could help speed up certain things, better electronic approaches to notarization and signing, and training adjusters, maybe to try to, as I think I may have said earlier, to handle most of the simple claims as you can by automation, and then have the complex ones and have adjusters trained primarily for that. Another one that I know some companies have done is outsourcing that to firms that may be able to handle the automatic aspects of this maybe a little bit better or have more technical experience. So these are some of the things I think also have more apps and more social media dealing with this. And one other, and I would say also to allow the adjusters or whatever and companies to be able to handle anything on any device. Because what I've heard people say is, oh, well, I can't do it on my this or that. Try to make it available to on any device that people may have. There is one other thing that I think is important, and that is the human element. I know we talk totally about automation, but over the experience that I've had with lots of claim situations with other people and things, just it would be nice if somebody said, we understand, we feel sorry for your loss, and is there any way we can help you? That kind of thing.
Now, I agree with that completely. I've just got one more question I'd like to ask you, and this is always an unfair question, I think, to somebody who's done so much in their life and their career, but you've got to limit yourself to one. What do you consider your greatest career achievement, and why?
That's an interesting question, really interesting question. I've had a varied career. I would say that the thing that probably is the major thing was the thing that in discovering the risk and insurance management field, I had the opportunity to maybe a little bit have an impact on literally thousands of students, lots of people in professional certification programs, my work on boards of directors, books in different languages, and just everyday kind of things that you hope you've had a little bit of impact. I would say that's probably I feel fortunate that I've maybe had that opportunity.
Well, Jerry, you certainly have made a huge impact. I think that was very apt that you chose that. It's been a pleasure and a privilege to speak to you, and congratulations again on winning the Founders Award.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the discussion. Thank you.
It's clear that Jerry has had a profound influence across all sectors of the industry as a professor, researcher, and advisor. There is no doubt that Jerry's contribution to the insurance industry is prolific across the property casualty and life health sector, and he has left an indelible mark on the field of employee benefits, where he has been credited as the Pied Piper of the CEBS program, which, as you've just heard, he helped to form. For his profound impact on the industry, we're proud to honor him with the Founders Award. Congratulations, Jerry.